What if Kaido were in Demon Slayer? What would the strongest creature in the world do? Against the Oni Hunters and Muzan, would he ally himself with any of these groups? Obviously not. At least not for the Oni Hunters core. That doesn't represent the ideal that Kaido carries with him, but would Kaido accept becoming an Oni? What would he change in the story of Demon Slayer? To get the answer, we need to understand how Kaido ended up in this universe. Look, right before Kaido faced Luffy, he was sailing through the New World in search of a challenger worthy of him when he encountered a pirate who possessed a devil fruit that could cross dimensions. So, while fighting him, Kaido was caught off guard and was transported to the Demon Slayer universe. Kaido lands from the sky with a great crash amid lightning and thunder. While everyone around him was surprised and scared by what had just happened, Kaido stood up in the midst of the dust without a scratch on him. Looking around, Kaido saw lights everywhere around him. He found huge houses and mansions. Kaido was in the red light district. The local authorities arrived to confront him, thinking he's a monster. After all, Kaido is a giant standing over 7 meters tall. Obviously, with a swing of his club, Kaido sends all the officers flying to Narnia. Daki, the Upper Moon 6 who had been hiding in the entertainment district, was watching Kaido, thinking he was an Oni who wanted to take over her territory. But to her, Kaido was doing something even worse, driving all her prey away from the district. That's why Daki restrains Kaido with her sashes, asking him to hold back in her territory. Kaido easily tears the Oni's sashes with his brute strength, something that surprises her. Since Daki considers her an inferior opponent, Kaido starts asking Oni questions, wanting to return to fight his adversary, who intrigued him so much. Kaido was looking for a way to get back to the battle, thinking he had been thrown to another island. However, Daki becomes furious at Kaido for snubbing her presence. For someone of such immense beauty, she should not be dismissed as a powerful opponent. Daki, in a fury, starts whipping at Kaido, who dodges her attacks with extreme ease thanks to his observation haki. Quickly, Kaido approaches the Oni and strikes her with his spiked club, knocking her head off with the impact. Kaido thinks he has eliminated the Oni, but from a distance, he sees Daki regenerating her head. And from inside her body, Gyutaro, her brother, emerges, immediately launching powerful attacks with his poisonous blood against Kaido. Undoubtedly, we know that Kaido is on a different level from all the beings like Daki with his powerful haki and devil fruit. The devil fruit not only allows Kaido to be more resilient, stronger, and more agile, but also lets him eliminate the demons with extreme ease. Look, as soon as Gyutaro launches his attacks against Kaido, he repels them with his armament haki. Then, he transforms into a dragon form, just as is noticed by everyone in the entertainment district. In this form, Kaido has a length of over 2 kilometers, that is, more than 2,000 meters of pure power. First, Kaido teaches the Oni brothers a lesson, not giving them any chance to fight back, burning the Upper Moon 6 until not a single living cell remains. And as we know, Kaido is someone who aims to create a world of war and power, where only the strong survive. And he also seeks an epic death, fighting against opponents strong enough to challenge him. So he takes the entertainment district as his territory and enslaves the people there, just as he enslaved the people of Wano. He forces the people of the district to build a base for him as well as to cater to his whims, while he looks for something to guide him back to his crew like a log post and a ship. Events do not go unnoticed by the Oni Hunters Corporation, and even less so by Muzan, who telepathically saw his upper moons, 6 and being brutally incinerated to death. But now, the question that remains is who will take the first action regarding Kaido, and what will they do about the strongest creature in the world? Well, before I answer you, take this moment of reflection to become a Hashira. To do that, just like the video and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on. And if you want to increase your power, just hype up this video. That way you'll become someone even more powerful than Kaido. Now, look, the letters sent to Tengen by his wives are quickly passed on to the rest of the Hashiras as well. Imagining that it's an upper moon, and not just any upper moon, the hunters need to gather their strength against this monster and free the entertainment district. against Kaido's claws, trying to come up with a plan against him. The core needs to investigate Kaido to get the best chance of victory without too many casualties, given his tremendous power observed by Usui's wives. Therefore, he, along with his wives, begins to spy on Kairo's movements to gather information. While the Hunter's Corps regroups, when Tanjiro and his friends return from the Infinity Train mission, the news is not good. Unfortunately, the organization loses one of its most important members, Kyujuro Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, due to the present threat being Kaido and the news brought by Tanjiro. The hunters realize that they need to become even stronger, precisely because of the terror that the upper moons present. In this way, Buyashiki has no choice but to call for the training of the Hashiras and the organization in general, aiming to bring its members up to the same level as an upper moon. Muzan, on the other hand, personally goes to the entertainment district, intending to have a face-to-face conversation with Kaido. He suspects that Kaido could be one of his demons who has gone out of his control just like Nezuko, but a demon whom Muzan can't even observe telepathically. However, if Kaido were someone like Muzan, for the King of Demons, this would be a big problem, since Kaido seems to have even greater strength than him, something that would put his plans of becoming the perfect demon at risk. When Muzan meets Kaido, the two have a very unfriendly conversation. Their personalities completely repel each other. But Kaido's goals could be beneficial for Muzan, who tries to form an alliance with him, attempting to manipulate him to gain total control, turning him into a demon. So he would say everything Kaido would like to hear in order to achieve his goal. However, everything falls apart, precisely because Kaido does not seek to be immortal, much less to ally himself with weak beings. After all, upon realizing that Muzan was like those he had defeated before, would that make Kaido want to pursue his goal as a sole leader? However, he offers a deal to Muzan, wanting to have the King of the Onis as one of his subordinates. Muzan would obviously refuse to obey someone like Kaido until his death, but for the King of Beasts, it was either that or death. A battle between Muzan and Kaido begins with an epic start. Kaido's speed surprises Muzan. After all, Kaido, in his fight against Luffy, in his Gear 5, he was able to dodge lightning, putting him at a level close to the speed of light. However, above that, something that would cause a problem for Muzan if it weren't for his regeneration as a primordial Oni, which would be practically instantaneous. Muzan would try to pierce Kaido's tough skin, but he wouldn't succeed. After all, Kaido's skin has the same toughness as that of a dragon, and it becomes even harder. Thanks to his armament haki in battle, Muzan is completely at a disadvantage. His only option is to run away. Kaido obviously wouldn't allow it, but thanks to Muzan's cellular multiplication, splitting into more than 1,000 pieces, he manages to escape from the strongest creature in the world. Zui, who was watching the battle, sends his messenger Crow to the organization to report the facts. These would be the facts. Kaido is not part of Muzan's army, and without a doubt the King of Beasts is definitely a bigger threat than Muzan, the King of the Onis. Buyashiki makes the hunters' training more intense, and seeing that Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Nosuke Kanao are special hunters. Buyashiki proposes that the Hashiras focus on their training so that their juniors can reach their level, turning them into Hashiras during the training journey. But will that be enough to stop Kaido? Note that Muzan, after witnessing Kaido's level, he can hide in his infinite castle, waiting until the King of Beasts dies, just like Yorichi, the hunter who awakened him a terrible fear. But Muzan chooses not to hide, precisely because of the conversation he had with Kaido. During their conversation, Kaido had warned Muzan that he has subordinates as powerful as Muzan's and that he needed to regroup with them. If that happens, Muzan may never see the moonlight again, and worse, he may never become a perfect Oni. After all, wherever Kaido went in search of a Logi Pulse, he devastated the place, burning it down and destroying it. That's exactly why the blue spider lily may never be found. For Muzan, the best decision right now is to join the Ijoni hunters before there are no blue spider lilies left in Japan. When Muzan finally discovers the location of the Ijoni hunters organization, he enters Kaguya's mansion to talk with Buyashiki, who was nearing his death. Months had already passed since Muzan's fight against Kaido, and even more time since the beginning of the organization's training. Muzan proposes an alliance with the hunters, and Buyashiki, who supports the idea of a temporary truce and is confident in the current power of the Hunters organization, accepts when the idea is presented to the Hunters. Many are reluctant and refuse to trust Muzan until Zui arrives at the meeting and gives his vote of confidence in Muzan because he witnessed Kaido's terrible power, a power that would be impossible to overcome alone, even for the king of the Onis. Muzan decides to test the Hunters' strength, starting a fight against all of them. In fact, they are stronger, but without Muzan being poisoned and without them awakening the Hunter's mark, or the transparent world and the bright red weapon, they don't come close to Muzan's level. With that in mind, Muzan brings with him a former member of the Oni Hunters Corps, and not just any former member, but one of the strongest among them all. Kokushibo, or Upper Moon One, who decides to train them with the goal of improving their breathing techniques. When Tanjiro and his friends finally finish their special training, they can finally move on to Kokushibo's training, a tough training that puts all of Tanjiro's emotions in conflict. However, because he has to cooperate with Muzan, he overcomes them for the greater good. Muzan is a direct descendant of Kokushibo. And noticing this, the Upper Moon makes a major upgrade in his fighting style, making Muzan the new Moon Hashira. The plan that Muzan and Buyashiki plot against Kaido is to throw him into the Infinite Castle and imprison him in that dimension forever. After that, it's every man for himself. However, they need to be quick and attack with everything they've got, because if Kaido transforms into his dragon form, it will probably be impossible to stop him. When finally Kokushibo judges that the demon hunters are ready for battle, everyone heads to an entertainment district, Kaido's base. Members of the Demon Hunters organization begin to evacuate the district because the greatest battle in history is about to begin. There are thousands of demons and hundreds of hunters against Kaido. Every hunter who was once at an ordinary level is now on the same level as a Hashira. The Hashiras, on the other hand, are on the same level as Kokushibo himself. With their obtained marks, the transparent world, and the power of the shining red weapon, now it's all or nothing. Even before the battle begins, Kaido uses his powerful Conqueror's Haki to leave standing only those who have the guts to face him. Face to face, knocking out hundreds of Onis and hunters, the number of allies drops by more than a third, right in front of the alliance of hunters and Onis. The battle begins with the powerful slashes unleashed by Kokushibo, also known as Upper Moon One. His lunar attacks destroy all the surrounding structures. Houses and buildings in the district are completely demolished by Kokushibo. Kaido, on the other hand, uses his armament and observation haki to defend against all of them, but Duma was already expecting this. Soon, he unleashes a powerful blizzard against Kaido, blocking the air from his lungs, aiming to slow down his movements. The house, along with the Hashiras, run around Kaido, delivering direct blows to the King of Beasts, distracting him from what was coming next, as Gyoko, with his vases, was preparing a huge water prison to stop his movements when it hits him. With that, Nakimi opens the door of the Infinite Castle beneath Kaido, and together, Zohakuten's wooden dragons unleash a powerful wave of wind to push Kaido into the castle. The execution of the plan was perfect, everyone was coordinated, and with Kaido's weakness being water. Since he's a devil fruit user, he can't do anything at all against this combo. However, with Kaido out of the picture, the alliance is broken, and an epic battle begins right there. The hunters, being on completely different levels, easily deal with the upper LUS while holding off Muzan until sunrise. However, being on the same level as Kokushibo with all the hacks learned from Upper LUS1 to defeat Kaido, it's safe to say that Muzan is defeated. And with that, all his Onis are gone with him. After all, the connection with the King of the Onis is broken. Because of this, Nakimi is also defeated, and so the Infinite Castle is undone, bringing back Kaido, who is extremely enraged with the hunters and Onis. Fortunately, the corporation, which had previously fainted because of Kaido's King Haki, gets up to fight against Kaido. In his dragon form with his fire breath, Kaido eliminates many hunters. The Hashiras, extremely exhausted from their battle against the Onis, have their performance completely impaired against Kaido, being subdued by the same Kaido. He simply exterminates the Oni Hunters Corporation. With ease and unable to return to his own world, he rules the Demon Slayer universe with no one to stop him. You weren't expecting this ending, were you? But despite the tragic end for humanity, I don't see any other way for it to end. But I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments, and if you like this topic on the channel, you need to watch this video I picked out for you. I'll see you there, otaku.